Peace, what's going on, y'all? It's your man, SoulMan IT. Welcome and welcome back to the channel, Home Arcade Classics. Today, we're going to talk about the PlayStation 5 Pro. As some of y'all probably know, if you've been looking at the internet, internet's been going crazy about at least the price tag for this bad boy. I don't know too much else about the system, but we're going to watch and react to this PS5 Pro technical presentation hosted by Mark Cerny. You can see that on PlayStation's YouTube channel, link in the description below. And so without further ado, let's get to this. Here we go.
Hi, I'm Mark Cerny. I'm excited to be here to talk about the newest addition to our console lineup, PlayStation 5 Pro, and how it advances gaming technology. But first, I want to take just a minute to look at what we put in the original PlayStation 5 and how it delivers an exceptional gaming experience. When PS5 debuted in 2020, it brought a lot to the table. 8 Zen 2 CPU cores form the brains of PlayStation 5 and enable high-speed complex gameplay, with character counts reaching into the hundreds and frame rates that can be as high as 120 frames a second. PS5 has a powerful RDNA 2 GPU, which can render anything from intricate details to fantastic worlds with vast panoramas to explore. Ray tracing allows for dramatic visual improvements, including reflections off of water or glass, and the realism that comes from real-time global illumination.
These graphics are dope. Custom
SSD can load data at breathtaking speed, resulting in ultra-fast transitions between game worlds and data streaming rates so high that traversal speeds are essentially unlimited.
You okay? I'm working on it!
Tempest 3D audio tech brings an unparalleled sense of immersion to the sound of the games. With audio so real, you may not even need to see the enemies to know exactly where they are. Finally, the DualSense controller has haptics that let you feel through your hands what your character is experiencing inside of the game. It's wonderful to see such variety and richness of game experiences. Creators have made amazing use of the hardware capabilities, but when I talk to them, I do hear about their desire for more graphics performance. The dreams of the developers are bigger than can be supported at 60 frames per second, and that leads to an aspect of modern gaming that we're all familiar with: graphics modes. It can be a difficult choice for players. Fidelity modes emphasize the visuals, typically through higher resolution rendering. These modes might also have enhanced detail or use more ray tracing. But the games only run at 30 frames per second. The visuals can be choppier and the controls less responsive. Performance modes emphasize frame rate and interactivity, typically choosing to run at 60 frames per second, mainly by reducing the graphical detail until those frame rates can be achieved. When asked to decide on a mode, players are choosing performance about 3/4 of the time. Removing that decision, or at least narrowing that divide, is one of the key targets for PlayStation 5 Pro. We want to give players the graphics that the game creators aspire to, at the high frame rates that players typically prefer. To do that, PS5 Pro substantially improves over PlayStation 5 in 3 ways. Here's what we call the Big 3. First, we made the GPU much larger and increased the speed of the memory it uses. The result is rendering that's up to 45% faster.
Interesting.
Second, we made major upgrades to the ray tracing, taking a streamlined and accelerated approach that allows calculation of the rays at double or even triple the speeds of PlayStation 5. And finally, we added custom hardware for machine learning and an AI library called PlayStation Spectral Super Resolution, or PSSR for short. PSSR analyzes the game images pixel by pixel and can add an extraordinary amount of detail, which boosts the effective resolution of the games. Game creators are adding PS5 Pro support to new and existing titles, and with the Big 3 involved, the results can be pretty amazing, with graphics showing something like fidelity levels of detail, but at double the frame rate. Here's The Last of Us Part 2 running on PS5 Pro. It has huge amounts of detail and targets a super smooth 60 frames per second. Let's compare this to the fidelity mode on PS5, which is only running at 30 frames per second and is therefore much choppier.
Interesting.
This goal of delivering almost fidelity-like graphics at performance frame rates has been achieved for a broad set of titles, including Marvel's Spider-Man 2.
So, like, the one on the right is way smoother than on the left. Okay.
And Ratchet & Clank Rift Apart. We can see that PS5 Pro is close to doubling the power of PlayStation 5.
Yeah, it's definitely less choppy.
Another way to compare the two consoles is to look at PS5 Pro versus Performance mode on PS5, both of which target 60 frames per second. What we see here is a difference in detail. PS5 Pro is much sharper and crisper than PS5.
Okay,
For
you can
this,
see it in
my
the text.
favorite is the parade scene from Ratchet & Clank. Distant details are much clearer. And here we can see Marvel's Spider-Man 2 is noticeably higher resolution throughout the scene, including the trees and procedural cars. So overall, some remarkable improvement to the games. On PS5 Pro, we can see increased sharpness to the graphics or smoother and more responsive gameplay. This is the big three showing their value. As you've been seeing, machine learning via the PSSR library is being used quite broadly to add pixel detail and boost frame rate. But there are as many approaches as there are game engines. The increase in raw GPU power is being especially effective for Horizon Forbidden West. Apart from the detail boost, that extra graphics power is allowing for improvements to lighting and visual effects, as well as to the hair and the skin in cinematics.
Open up, guys. Jorv's orders.
Good enough for me.
Ray tracing is finding broad usage as well, particularly when the games are focused on higher frame rates. The faster hardware in PS5 Pro can make a real difference, allowing Gran Turismo 7 to add ray-traced reflections between the cars in gameplay, while continuing to support their targeted 60 frames per second. That boost in ray tracing is also delivering big wins for Hogwarts Legacy, allowing not only for better reflections and a greater variety of reflective surfaces, but also for further realism in the casting of shadows. I hope you've enjoyed this run-through of the technology behind PlayStation 5 Pro. Simply put, it's the most powerful console we've ever built, and a worthy addition to the PS5 family. Let me wrap this up by giving you a quick look at a number of games running on the new console.
I will do copyright music here, or not copyright music here. So the graphics on this definitely are way smooth. Lighting is definitely sticking out. I don't even know what games some of these are. $700. All right. So, let's see. Is it, well, let's see. What is the actual cost of PS5 original price? Let's see, the PS5 original price. PlayStation has officially confirmed the release of its next console, the PS5 Pro. The device will launch November 7th and retail at $699.99, compared to its predecessor, the PS5, which launched in November 2020, priced at $500, $499, with a digital-only edition for $399. Okay, so it's $200 more than its predecessor. It's giving you, what is it, like a quarter to a third more processing power than it originally had. I guess the biggest two questions are, is it worth the extra $200 to pay for $700? But then also the bigger question, should you spend $700 on a gaming console, right? And I think that's where most folks are at when it comes to this, is, are we now officially in the land of video game is about to be a luxury and pushes a good majority of people out, where they can only afford certain consoles that'll be reasonably priced, in reference, when you juxtapose that with like the jobs that people have, what they can save up for, what they can afford. I mean, games themselves are already, they're no longer like 60 for the most part. Like they're now jumping to $70 a pop. And some of these games have been missing for real. Like they have not been hitting, which means they're not worth the $70 price tag to a lot of different gamers. And then you have the increasing of subscription prices, like for the Xbox Game Pass. So like right here it says, in September, Sony increased the price for 12 months of PlayStation Plus Essential from $59 to $79.99, PlayStation Plus Extra from $99.99 to $134.99. So what it's saying here on Business Insider, $10 a month for the PlayStation Plus Essential, $15 a month for the premium, for extra, and then premium is at $18 a month. Yeah, video gaming itself is becoming way, way, way costly. And when you look at the push for either a game console that can do a lot or getting a PC that can also do a lot and compete in that market, and that's kind of where Microsoft has a leg up over Sony, because Sony doesn't make computers. Well, I mean, they do actually. Technically, they used to have like the laptop, the Sony Vaio, but they haven't like really push into, we're going to start doing computers to compete with Microsoft. With these GPUs and then adding AI to it, who knows? Things could get spicy in the sense of, competition in the electronic space, in the home electronic space. Personally, I don't see a need to spend $700 on a gaming system. And I do think that games have, like, I remember during COVID, like, that was the biggest thing, where it's just like, we're in a pandemic and y'all are really charging half a stack for a new system. Like, people are dying outside. Like, then there was this, like, I get it to a degree. And then at the same time, I'm just like, yeah, no. Like, there's $500 or whatever the amount is worth of tech inside the piece of equipment, and we're spending $500 and they turn a profit, right? I don't know how much it actually costs to make an Xbox One S or X or a PlayStation 5. I don't. But I know I didn't spend an arm and a leg on the Nintendo Switch. I know that the Nintendo Switch has some awesome games. I know that in me doing like the retro gaming, that, playing the Sega games or the old Sega games or the old Nintendo games, and when I get to it, the old Atari games, like, there's replay value. Yeah, it's not going to be the same replay that you get with some of these systems that allow you to basically be the Netflix of gaming, and you just have like a whole library at your fingertips. But I don't know, there is a more cost-effective, affordable way that I feel like we could have when it comes to gaming. I'll put some more thought into it just so it's not just me throwing it out there in the ether like that. But I don't think it's too far-fetched to suggest that, do we have to, like, will there be like a mini PlayStation Pro? I don't know. Like a smaller version that can also do this or whatever? Like, do we have to have the console itself that we're paying extra money for, as well as paying whatever the monthly price is for this, for the online stuff and services? Like, I get to some degree that we need the online service so that way we can do updates and patches and things like that for the overall system. Cool. But is there a way to minimize the cost, or is it just going to be a thing where you keep increasing the cost as we go? Then it's like, how will people react to this? Will people eventually like cave in and be like, well, I'm just going to buy it? And that's kind of what the game companies like Microsoft, like Sony, like that. Is that what y'all like are hoping for? I don't know. I can see why people are frustrated. $700 is not cheap. And it's already hard as it is economy wise for finding new jobs and then jobs that will actually like pay you a decent amount. And you got to use that for like bills and rent and food, like especially if you're living on your own. So it's like, I don't know where they think folks will have $700 in terms of disposable income. But hey, what are y'all thoughts on this? Is it too expensive? Is it right there? Do y'all care? Do you not care? Let me know. Leave a comment down below so we can have a discussion about this. I want to thank y'all for your time. Thank y'all for watching. It's your man, SoulMan IT. This is Home Arcade Classics. I'm out. Peace.